Hello, everyone. Welcome to Monday Live with Alan and Greg. And our guest tonight is Ven from Ven's Corner. And we have an active chat room already. I see people chatting about. We had Farah early. I think she's probably gone. Noah the Bookworm. Bad is Rad is here. No talking. I think those are the two that are chatting at each other. If someone else is in the chat room, go ahead and leave a message. Oh, Elaine and the Cobalt Dragon is here. Jess Book Girl TV is here.
Jess.
Yeah.
Noah.
Loads of people.
I think they're talking about cooking. Jess is talking. I can't make honey up eggs. Neither can I.
I can't believe Bad can't do that. She's great.
Oh, she was saying she was making, thinking of making sugar cookies earlier when I was talking to her. So it's like, please send them to me. I like cookies.
I like cookies too.
Yeah.
So, although I don't want to set Elaine off again because we keep having discussions about cookies versus biscuits. So don't want to set that one off straight away.
Pat is here. Book chat with Pat.
Oh, hey, Pat.
Constance Campbell is here. It's a full house.
Well, hey, fun times.
It is.
Fun times.
So how's everyone doing today?
Ven?
Oh, bless. Ven's support group. I'm good. It's 1 a.m., so I'm very caffeinated.
Yeah.
I'm excited.
You wanted to do it at 1 a.m., eh?
It gives me an excuse not to be in work tomorrow.
So excellent.
Works for me.
I vote for that.
So
I remember my working days, and I would love to take days off just for no reason.
Yeah, it's the retail life coming up to Christmas, so I can afford to not be there for a day. It's fine, and I don't work hard, no, but thank you anyway. But yeah, but I'm good.
You said it was snowing there today.
It was snowing, not heavy. Yeah, not particularly heavy where I am. I think it's stopped now, but we don't get snow in November. Like, it just doesn't happen.
It's either in Portland, Oregon, usually, but it was hailing today. It's raining all week. On and off. But...
It's the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
Rain is common.
Yeah, you have to get used to it.
But I was telling Ben earlier that my wife is mentioning she has her garden in the backyard, and we have not had our hard killing frost yet. Usually by this time of the year, we've had a hard frost that kills off all the peppers and other stuff that she's growing in the backyard, but it's still going.
Mm-hmm. But she's like above. She's what they call that. The beds are above.
Yeah, she has raised beds because they actually built our house where there was no dirt. It was just hard scrabble ground, and they put this tiny level of dirt for grass, but it doesn't really work. It's just like dead grass everywhere in the neighborhood, or very weak and thin grass.
I've seen the garden. She's got a nice one, different areas, and yeah, it's nice. I love garden.
No,
I've only had vegetable gardens, but she has both, doesn't she?
Yes, she has flower gardens and some vegetable gardens.
Yeah, like potatoes are easy to grow. I was talking to Pat about growing potatoes today. Yeah, on Boxer. Anyway,
I know where I am. We're back onto peat moss. So literally, they can't build. So it's like the biggest peat moss in the UK.
You can get out for a fire.
Yeah, so it's all protected. You're not allowed to touch it. So I had the final grass cut about 3 weeks ago, and it'll be fine. Shot right back up because it's been relatively dry. We had a couple of weeks of dry and sunny right at the start of the month, and then it just went gloomy. And looking at it now, going, ideally, it needs another cut because it's just such good growing land. It's all farmland, but even though I live so close to Manchester itself, because it's like 10 miles to Manchester city centre, that's all it is.
Okay.
But because UK cities are a lot smaller than US ones, they don't have the sprawl. So by the time you get to like the outskirts, whichever direction I go in is fields. It's
yeah, I love a peat
insane.
moss fire.
Yeah.
And I like how they dig them with those little spades.
Yeah, no, they're so protective of because it's been overused for years. So much been dug out. It's incredibly protected now. You're not allowed to, unless you're farming it properly. They're not allowed. They're actually trying to restore it and make it bigger again, back to how it used to be. So, but yeah,
cool.
People saying hi to each other. I'm not really reading out people's hello messages.
No.
It's in Ven's support group is here. It says bad. Noah.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. I mean,
loads of
I know all the people here, but
yeah, I know. Constance made gluten-free chocolate chip, I guess, cookies yesterday. Every BookTube live pushes my cookie button.
I don't know why I don't get cookies. I used to buy my cookies at the dollar store. The damn dollar store in my neighborhood closed. Now I have to take a bus and a train to get to the next Dollar Tree.
I wouldn't trust food from a dollar store myself, but
the cookies, those cookies, they're kind of like coasters, but I like them, man. They're crunchy.
Alan, look at the expiration date on those packages. There's a reason they're at the dollar store. With a poo-poo snow, says Noah.
Hey, MJ.
Hey, MJ. Ingrid. So Cal has finally cooled off a bit. High at 65 in the valley.
Yeah, it's 65 in Phoenix, Arizona, too. Today.
Your editing is brilliant, Ven. Have you ever taken computer classes and it is something you have a passion for? Computer programming, etc. aspects.
So,
well, there goes one of my questions.
So, no and no is as simple as that. So, I had never touched editing software until I started on BookTube. So, it's Noah's fault that I started on BookTube. So, it's his fault. I can't remember what the book was, but there was inbuilt editing software with Windows, which is not very good, but it was what I used initially. And then if I ever need any help, because he's streamed for years, because he does video game streaming, I'll drag him round to my house to help me. But a lot of it is built. Yeah, literally, I walk past his house going to work in the morning. Like I say, we work together as well, occasionally.
That's cool.
So it's
But go ahead. I'm sorry I interrupted.
No, it's all right. I like computers. I've always been a little bit techie. Because like the computer that I'm using now, I built it myself, so stuff like that I'm fine with.
Wow.
But the programming side of things, I've never really looked at. I've actually got a couple of courses that I do want to do. I've got them saved. But everything I've done, I'll sometimes check a YouTube video out or just Google it and figure out how to do things. So that's how I do it all. But I've never done any. I learned the basics to get me through. So it's time for anything else.
It's over my head.
I went to university and studied English literature. I wound up a computer programmer at the end of my life. So it was just the job opened up and I slowly picked it up. And
do you have to be good at math though? With all those numbers, it's all.
I stink at math.
I do too.
But the good thing about is when you're on a computer, you'll have Excel and you can just type any old math formula into Excel and you'll get the right answer.
Oh yeah, okay.
If you type it in correctly.
I have never learned how to use Excel. Like I have no idea how to use it. Any sort of Google Sheets or anything like that. Not a clue. Don't know how to do it.
I could probably do that. Spreadsheet.
Yeah, but give me a pen and paper and I'm fine. But like anything like that, just I don't need it for my job, so I've never bothered to learn it. So I only learn stuff as I need to know it. That's how the editing sort of works, to be honest.
Well, honestly, like you're talking, Ven, like when I started on a Windows computer, I also was it part of the photo?
It was, and then it got split off.
I kind of remember that split off. and it was never very good.
No. When I went back recently because it's nearly the 2-year anniversary of the channel. It's at the end of the month. And I went back about a week ago just to look at some of the early videos. And it's like, ugh, which, is normal. But looking at thinking...
I look at my first video, and the thing is, when I first did it, I didn't do any editing. I just recorded, basically uploaded, and that was it.
See, mine's the other way around.
The thing is, when you do that, I actually think sometimes you're better spoken and better thought out because you would have to start from the beginning again if you really messed up.
Yeah. Well, bizarrely, the way I did my first one, it was actually a lot more edited than my videos are now, which is probably why it's a little bit rough to watch, so to speak. But it was the audio, because the way the editing software worked it was just bad. I mean, the one I use now I picked up on sale, and it's like a one payment and done. So
which one do you use?
It's what's it called? Not Mojave.
Mojave, that's the one I used. Mine was not. Mine was a yearly subscription.
Yeah, Mojave. Sorry, yeah. So I paid a one-off payment because one of the older editions went dirt. Like whenever the new editions come out, the old ones go slightly cheaper, and then it's done for life. So I just picked that one up cheap, and it's done me for about a year and a half.
But I eventually bought a MacBook.
Yeah.
So the MacBook has the iMovie, and the iMovie is just as good as the Mojave, if not a little bit better.
See, I was reading something the other day. They were talking about Apple versus other platforms. It was really interesting because it was talking about. So obviously, like we got into contact with Voxer. Voxer is not a thing in the UK, and I was watching a video like why have certain things taken off in the UK and not in the US, and a lot of it is because of how predominant Apple's market position is. In the UK, most people don't use Apple. Interestingly, a lot more people use the Samsung stuff, so you don't have that integration. So there's a bit less of a what's the word I'm after? Incentive, I suppose. I think there's a bit more of a markup in the UK as well on Apple products, interestingly enough. So I used to have Apple years ago. If I had an Apple phone now, I would probably be all in, just because of the interconnectivity. But
it is, and what happened was my wife started her own channel, and she was doing hers on a Chromebook, and it wasn't very good. So basically, the MacBook is a shared laptop that we pass.
You like Mac better?
What?
You like Mac better?
Well, the thing is, when I was a computer programmer, I programmed almost exclusively Windows product. So I had to use Windows professionally. But now that I don't have to use it professionally anymore, I'm growing fonder of Mac again.
I see. Yeah, I haven't used Mac. So, oh man.
Let's try to get through some comments here.
Okay, go ahead.
Talk about some books.
I need some coffee.
Let's say hello to Ginger Bibliophile. Hello, Cat. Everyone's saying hi to Cat. Ven and I go way back to the faceless days.
We do. I still have that model. So there we go.
Oh, Bad has a quick question. Ven, if you were given $1,000 to spend on books and travel the world, where would you go and what genre would you spend it on?
Okay, so it'd be fantasy because that's always been my thing from when I was a kid. Fantasy or sci-fi? Probably more fantasy, but it'd probably split between the two. Travel the world. I mean, it sounds like a weird one, but one place I'd love to go is Belize, which sounds like a random place, but I was going to say it's a former British colony. That doesn't really narrow stuff down, really, does it? But it's still, I believe, predominantly English speaking. It's not as spoiled as a lot of the other sort of your South American beach resorts, for want of a better word. And it's just such a beautiful place to go and just sort of sit and enjoy the sun and the thing. I'd like to go to New Zealand as well, actually. Belize. I'd love to go to Belize. I'd love to go to New Zealand. I obviously couldn't do both with 1,000. I do want to come back to the US as well because I've not been to the US for about 15 years since I was over there last. A long time.
Oh yeah.
So I'd love to come back over at some point.
You may want to wait a couple of years.
Yeah, I think I was hoping to get there in the next couple of years, and then I saw the choices that were made, and think that maybe leave it a little bit.
You know, you might not want to come over for a while. I mean,
no,
just saying, and
no, but
Trump train.
Yeah, well, I have.
So
where'd
you visit then? What'd you see? Where'd you go?
I've been a couple of times. So one of my dad's friends emigrated in the 90s to just outside San Francisco.
Oh yeah.
So I've been over to the East Coast a couple of times. So I've done San Francisco, San Diego, Monterey, LA as well. I've been to Vegas, although I was too young to enjoy it because I was only 18 at the time.
In Vegas.
Yeah, so I'd actually like to go to Vegas again and actually see it properly. And then the last time we went, it was for my dad's 50th. So we actually went to Florida. So that was in 2009, 2010. So we did like SeaWorld, Disney World. My oldest was 4 at the time. So it was me, my now ex-wife, and my kid, and my dad all came over for 2 weeks, and it was over Halloween. So we got to do the Halloween Horror Nights at Universal and all that. So I'd quite like to do. I know Noah's other half, Jenny, was going to do the East Coast train that goes from. See, my geography is terrible. From like Washington, Boston, all the way down the East Coast. So I'd quite like to do that at some point. But there's so much America. It's just so much of you. It's such a massive.
That's the problem. We really are 5 countries.
Yeah.
I mean,
if not more. I mean, I was.
You saw a lot of it, Ben.
Yeah.
You've seen a lot of it.
Yosemite as well. Got to go to Yosemite. That was amazing. There was a night, and obviously we're staying in like the cabins, the chalets, and they obviously had the warning of, there's bears, don't leave food on your front seat, all the common sense stuff that people don't do. So the next morning, obviously, a car had been mauled because someone had left stuff on the front seat. But they had bear-proof locks on the doors, and the bear-proof lock was literally a thin piece of metal, like a hook and eyelet thing. I mean, it wouldn't have keep out a mouse, let alone a bear. As they got bare footprints outside, it's like, I don't feel safe now. But
I saw a buffalo. I was at Yosemite, and I saw a buffalo. I took a picture of it. Yeah. My dad took a picture of me taking a picture of the buffalo.
Yeah, but there's so much in the US that I'd love to see. It's just so big. It's just so big.
Yeah, well, my wife and I really want to get to England.
Yeah,
we're talking about 2025, maybe going over and doing something, and we'll see how things are going in this country, and if we're welcome.
Yeah. Oh,
you might want to go on a 4-year cruise, maybe just 2-year cruise.
Well, Alan, I have a house and I have 4 kids. I really just can't
go around the world, Alan. Can't be cruising around. Got responsibilities, man.
Now you could do it. I mean, you're
offering 2- and 4-year cruises. I don't know if you've heard about that, but
I have.
Yeah.
All right. Before we get talking about books, I'm going to go through some of the comments. Again, if you're chatting back at each other, I'm going to just sort of skip over that comment. But Ginger says, "Ooh, cookies do sound good. I haven't baked them in a while." Funny question here. Hopefully, what book would you give to your worst enemy?
Bob Honey by Sean Penn.
So
Shadowram.
Trying to think of a book that I absolutely despise, but
why would you give your worst enemy a book they would hate? Why not give them something that they may enjoy and saying, maybe we don't have to be enemies?
Well, the thing is, the book that I despise, everybody else likes. So let's see if we can upset. This will upset Elaine. The Alchemist.
Paulo, that's I've not read it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah,
I like it all right.
Yeah, I don't know if it's just because of when I only read it this year, so it might be the case of the wrong book at the wrong time, which it probably is. But
I take it you don't have a spiritual bent.
I have a spiritual bent, not a religious bent.
I
make a point of split up because I see spiritual side, great, love it, but I don't trust religious institutions particularly,
right?
Because it's
more religion's for people who don't want to go to hell, and spirituality is for people who've been there and don't want to go back.
Yeah. So I like the spiritual side of it. I'm not religious myself, but I don't. When you look at some of the things that have been done in the name of religion rather than of the faith, they're political organizations in my mind. But the beliefs themselves, I have no issue with. If you've seen, you probably won't see actually over in the US, but there's been a big sort of controversy this week actually involving the Church of England, and some things have come to light that the Archbishop of Canterbury knew about and covered up for years involving abuse.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, it doesn't do much.
We have that in the United States too.
Yeah, it's it puts me off the institution a little bit. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So, unfortunately.
All right. People saying hi. England, we don't get real snow. Saying hi everyone.
We do get real snow.
Bad has
not in Manchester.
Question, Van, or guess us. Are you team werewolf or team vampire?
Vampire. Not sparkly vampires, to be clear. Not Twilight vampires, but
real ones.
Vampires.
You like Dracula vampires?
Yeah, I've not read Dracula yet. That's on my list soon. I listened to Camilla last year, which I really liked.
It's an interesting one. Yeah, I gotta reread that one.
Yeah, it was a decent narration as well, to be fair. So because I struggle a little bit with classics, but yeah, always vampire. I have so many vampire books and fiction knocking around. It's daft.
Do you like Anne Rice?
Not read any Anne Rice. I've not even seen.
Wow, well,
no, I've not.
I like her.
There's some weird blind spots in. Nearly everything, to be fair. But reading, there's certain blind spots that I have that I've just not touched. Same with films. I normally, just to trigger some people, if move it into films, I've never seen The Lion King. Stuff
Me
like that.
neither.
Now I have kids as well.
I've never seen Lion King either.
Me neither. That's three of us.
This upsets a few people when I say that. So, but it's the same with books. Some of the really popular ones I've just never gotten to for one reason or another.
I think I have Dracula on my Kindle.
It's a good one.
Yeah, I have Dracula on my Kindle. It's been sat there for a couple of years at this point. And Frankenstein, actually. Another one I've not read yet.
So Ginger says, sure, blame the other Chaos Gremlin for your channel. It's his fault. You read ACOTAR 2, isn't it?
Yes, it is his fault that I read ACOTAR. I did not like ACOTAR. I'm not going on a rant about ACOTAR again. No.
What happened in the U.S., and if MJ's here, MJ is to blame for me reading ACOTAR, is that it got banned in the state of Utah.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons why it was one of my challenge book reads for this year.
That's the reason why we read it.
Yeah.
It says, we're going to say, hey, Utah,
Yeah.
So we're also going to do the second book, The Court of Mist and Fury, next month.
Yeah.
Now I'm only committing to those two, unless I really, really like Court of Mist and Fury. But you have to support banned books, in my opinion.
Oh, absolutely.
But you don't have that problem in the UK.
No, not so much. I think the problem we have over here is more that library funding is so poor in the UK. It's in real terms, it's gone down by about 50% in the last 10 years. It's literally halved its funding. So where I live, there's 2 libraries within walking distance, which sounds great. There's hardly any books in them. They're not open all the time. Sometimes they're unmanned. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, to be fair, what's happened to the library system in the UK over the last 10 years. Which is a shame.
I found Dracula. I'm trying to get to the cover of it. But yeah, I've got Dracula on my little Kindle unread. Maybe we'll read it together, Ben.
Yeah, could do. I'm just double checking it's actually still on there, actually.
Then you wouldn't have found your favorite character, Farah, otherwise.
Oh,
don't get me started.
No, don't. Like,
that's a weird way to spell Farah. Interesting way.
She's an idiot. I don't like it when we're told how smart a character is, and then everything they do is the opposite of what we're told. It frustrates me. By the end of the book, I was spitting feathers. I really was. It just irritated me so much.
Well, what irritated me the most was that riddle at the end of the book. And I'm going, couldn't you have done something better than that?
Yeah, I was slightly more forgiving of the riddle than I was at nearly any other point of the book, just because of I ended up, I think I gaslit myself with it, to be honest, a little bit, because I'm looking at it going, maybe because it's such a wordy riddle and she can't read, that's why she can't process it properly, which is nonsense, really, when I think about it. But just everything about a character just wound me up. Everything, all the way through. I'm like, people have voice notes of me going off on them about it. I just don't.
I don't know. That might be a sign of good writing.
Well, the thing is, it really is a book, I think, written for women, let's just say between 14 and 25.
Yeah. I know
really, that's the audience.
My daughter she's waiting for the audiobook because my daughter's 15. She doesn't want to read the book. She wants to listen to the audiobook. It's like, fine, whatever. But she's seen my reaction to it. It's like, don't want to listen to it. It's like, you'll probably like it more than me. And that's fine. I mean, to be fair, when I was reading it, I didn't have a terrible time with it. I don't think it's a popcorn book. That's the best way I can describe it. It's the sort of book where you turn your brain off and just go along for the ride and it's fine. It's when you start looking at it, it starts to irritate me a little bit, if that makes sense. But
James, he says, "Hey, all English major turned computer programmer here too." Yeah, we're quite the group.
All
right, James. We got some comments in here, but let's get to talking about some books here because we're at 28 minutes and haven't talked about any books yet. So, Ven, as the guest,
yes,
you get to talk about a recent book or current books or something you want to mention to the group.
So I'm on a bit of an indie book journey at the moment. So I started falling into indie books earlier this year. So I've picked up recently, which I really, really liked. Where is it? Can't for the life of me see what the title is here. Where's it gone? There we go. So there's an author called Rex Burke. He's a UK author. Writes what I'd call cozy sci-fi. Is the easiest way I can describe it. So it's not quite Douglas Adams, but a similar sort of vibe.
Okay, yeah.
That quite light-hearted, very British sense of humour as well. And I found him earlier on this year, and I'm just starting off his last book, which is Starbound, which is book 3 in a trilogy. And it's very, very light on the science, if that makes sense. But it's set in the relatively near future where climate change and Earth gone wrong. So let's just send a ship out and try and colonize somewhere. And you have these characters that are just so out of their depth. So it's like they have the crew and they're all slightly social misfits because realistically, if you're going to be willing to leave the planet and just go on a slow cruise out into space for 40 years, the chances are, because you're going to be very specialized in your skills, there's going to be some interesting developments in personality there as they're going. And they end up accidentally, someone misjudged. So they put stuff in the water so people couldn't have children, and they misjudged it. So the plan was to never have kids on the way and just thaw out the population when they got there. And people had kids, so they then had to thaw out someone to sort of teach the kids, because the people that were there were not going to be good for teaching the kids. And you've just got this former university lecturer who's like in his mid-30s with a load of kids that are smarter than he is because they've done the initial part of learning about nuclear physics and quantum theory and all sorts. He's just stood there going, I can't teach them anything, and they know that they're smarter than him. And you have these really weird interactions as he's trying to get used to being on the ship, and they're sort of just looking down on him. And then it flips because there's an accident. They end up crashed on the planet, and these kids have never been on a planet. So you then have this situation where the person who they have no respect for is the only one who actually, that moment of just looking up at a sky for the first time, which we can't really comprehend that, really, but the whole scale of stuff. And you have these ridiculous moments with like the teenagers as there's one of them who just doesn't even think and just sees it. Oh, that looks like a coconut, and just starts eating it. And it's like, no, you don't know what it is. So I've just hit book 3 in the trilogy of that one. Or I'm just about to start that one, sorry. And everyone's just slightly larger than life. It's just fun. Just such a fun read. He's done another couple that I've read recently. One of them was set in like on a remote island in Scotland. And there was like someone just went to work up there just for like summer job. And the whole idea was it's like just a bit of experience away from everybody. It'll be fine. And then there's the local like island nut job like you always get. If you've ever seen, what's it called? It's a film with Simon Pegg in it. I can't think what it's called off the top. Hot Fuzz. It's very much like country bumpkin in Scotland sort of idea. And it turns out that a spaceship has crashed, but all these people look like pixies or little fairies. So he's going around telling everyone about his little friends with wings. Everyone thinks he's mad. And then it turns out they're actually crash-landed aliens. And it's just bizarre. Yeah, set in Scotland. It's called, what's it called? Third Lock from the Sun, which I like a good little pun on names. So there's that's what I'm working through at the moment. And a couple of arcs as well. The arcs have been a bit up and down. Also, Bad wanted me to mention a book that I'd buddy read with her, which I know you have, Greg, which was Dead Inside.
Okay.
Which was an experience. It's all I'm going to say
not
about
like
that
most
one.
Books.
Yeah. Still not sure how much I liked that book. It was, yeah.
I don't think I liked, I know Bad really likes that book. I don't think I liked it.
Weird one. It was, she's read it 3 times now.
I know. She likes it much more than I do.
Yeah.
Bet you try to write one.
And you know what's interesting? When she first had it, she sent me her copy.
I think I've heard about that one, but probably not. I don't like scary stuff. Too scary. I like psychological horror, and Stephen King, and I can take him more.
Yeah, no, it's extreme horror, so it's not even that it's scary. It's just very
gross,
problematic. That's the one.
It's what happens is my comment was truly gruesome.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's like he was sitting there writing it and says, "What can I do that's absolutely outrageous that'll make someone want to puke if they're weak in the stomach?"
Yeah, pretty close. The worrying thing is I've read worse, which I don't know what that says about me. Again, I'm blaming Noah for that one because he introduces me to these books. But just I won't mind though. It was well written. That was the thing. Of all the extreme horrors I've read, it's probably the most well written. But yeah,
that's I've read some like Kindle published books.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a great speller. Even though I studied English literature, I can't spell worth a damn, but I can say, oh, you really need an editor on that.
Yeah, I read one called It's Me, Charlie, about, it must have been last year, actually. And it was just, it felt like an AI had written it, but the spelling was too poor for it to be AI written. And then,
oh, wait a second. Did I read that one? Bad recommended some book.
Yeah, it's like a red cover, I think. From what
I would have gotten the Kindle version.
Yeah, I got the Kindle version, and the Kindle version was meant to be terrible. And then again, I was speaking to Noah, and I said, "Just don't read this book." So he then went and ordered the physical version because he doesn't listen to words, which he regretted. I think he actually burnt it. I know he was on about burning it after he read it because it was that bad. It's like, no. I think we were meant to be reading another book by them actually for Christmas because they've done a Christmas horror book. Don't know why we're putting ourselves through that one, but he's probably forgotten that as well. But yeah, that was rough, to put it mildly.
Okay. What about you, Alan? What you
been? The car alarm.
What?
Oh, there it's off. Well, Flossie and I have been reading this great book, Northwoods.
Okay, yeah, I've read that.
I'd like to, Gareth asked people to name their favorite book of 2024. Mine was James. I'd like to change it to this. I really like it. It's like really original and unique and just type of book that I would like want to write. But I said the same thing about Shadowram too. That's the kind of book that, but Greg didn't like it. But Homeboy is too type of book that I would like. I don't know, like to write. But and then that's about. Oh yeah, I did start early. Is Pat still here? Because I don't hear this.
She's been in the chat room.
I started. I forget the name of the book because I found out. I keep people say, "Oh yeah, we're buddy reading in December, right?" Oh yeah, remember and I was stuck with like reading like 6-7 books, so I had to drop a few. But what's that one book? Shit. It's like Leonard Patty something. I'll find it in a second, hopefully.
Oh, Northwoods, I've not actually heard of that one. I'm just reading about it now. I
haven't read.
Okay, all right, Alan. While you're finding it, I'll talk about the book that I finished this morning. It's actually a reread.
Oh, it's Leonard and Hungry Paul. Leonard and Hungry Paul. Have you heard of that?
Nope.
No.
Trying to bring up the cover. But anyway, go ahead, Greg. I'm sorry.
So I finished rereading a okay, Alan. A Scanner Darkly by Philip K. Dick.
Oh, wow.
And this is a head trip. If people know Philip K. Dick, this is absolutely classic Philip K. Dick. It is essentially the story of two people. One is a drug dealer whose name Bob Actor. And then there's a police officer or investigator named Fred. And Fred wears this thing called a scramble suit that sort of looks like makes your whole face all whited out so you can't see who you are.
Huh.
And so he's investigating this drug dealer, and the drug dealer's home is taped with scanners. He's watching all these tapes. But what he doesn't realize is that Fred has been taking these drugs, and it's not a huge spoiler, but he is actually the drug dealer himself with a split mind.
All right. Okay.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like Dick.
So it's all about
PKD.
The substance D, which is substance death, and just the what the drugs can do to your mind. And if you've read Philip K. Dick, you know kind of what you're going to be in for. And this is one of the classic ones, just the head game of drugs that he can put in.
I've not read any Philip K. Dick for years.
I read Valis.
Must have been early 2000s at some point. I can't for the life of me think what it was I read. It might have been was it Man at High
Castle would be my most likely one that would have voted. Not voted.
A long time ago. I can't remember a huge amount about it now. But
Hitler and that Nazis.
It's about what
if
Germany won the war.
Yeah.
I think that might have to be a reread.
There's a film of that too that's good. I like.
That was I like him. He's
what
not
made you pick that up?
Technically a great writer. I mean, his prose is kind of clunky sometimes, but
his ideas are.
Yeah.
What made you pick that up, Greg?
I was just going through some of the great science fiction books. I made a list of the 12 science fiction books I wanted to reread, and I knew I had to put Philip K. Dick on the list. My favorite is probably his novel Valis.
Yeah, that's why I have that on the show.
And and I say, well, I've read Valis 3 times now, maybe 4 times. But I've only read that book once before. So I said, let me read one of the ones that I've only read once before. So that's why I picked it up and put it on that list.
Oh, that's cool. I'd like to read more of him.
Yeah, I think that might be something for
I like it. There's a documentary I saw when I was buddy read Valis with somebody who doesn't have a channel anymore. So I kind of did not a deep dive, but mini dive. Watch like documentary of him and learn some of his like personal life, and Valis is like a lot of his personal life too, drugs and his relationship and that, and he's kind of crazy.
He had a lot of rough relationships with women, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I'd like to reread Valis too.
Well, Alan, maybe 2026 we can do Valis.
Yeah, it's not a thick book.
No.
So, but then it's one of a trilogy too.
No, it's not really. No. What happened was Valis was like one of the last books that he wrote and got published, and then he had submitted some other book, then he died.
Oh.
And I think the publishers just said, well, let's just call this a trilogy. And there's no real character connections or story connections. Maybe some thematic connections, but any author you can get thematic connections with. So they just called it a trilogy.
I see. Yeah.
Gotta love marketing.
Pat's still here. Pat Herbie.
Well, I think so. I'm going through some of the comments.
I haven't really started it yet, Pat. I was just kind of teasing, but I do have to. And then I have this out too, getting prepared for this in a couple of weeks. 2 weeks? That's a complicated book. I was hoping you were better with math, Greg, because there's some really cool math in that. But you're not going to get me to solve any math problems. You know what, like the algebraic equivalent of I is, then, or I guess it's for imagination and number.
Nope.
Imaginary number.
Nope. Don't ask me.
Not anymore. My kids come home with homework and it's like they teach math like what now?
Yeah.
It's just like I could do it years ago. Now it's like they go through how they teach them, and it's like that's not how you do things. So I showed them my way, which does still work. And it's like, no, you've got to do it this way. Wait a second
here.
Get out the abacus.
When I was growing up, Tom Lehrer had a song called New Math, because in his day they taught math in one way, and then they started teaching math a new way, and he made a funny song about new math. But then what you're telling me now is that new math is the old math.
Yep.
And there's a newer math.
Yep.
Okay.
It's
Neomath.
genuine. They were explaining it to me. I'm just looking at it going, but the answer's this. It's like, yeah, that's the answer. It's like, but why have you done all this? It's more complicated. What are you doing? Why make something you're not going to like harder? It doesn't make sense. But people pay more money than
math teachers are really weird.
Yeah.
I remember I was taking a computer programming class, and the teacher was not a computer programmer. He was a mathematician, and he just got roped into teaching computers because they needed a teacher. And he says, you should always do the math in your head, never on a calculator. It's much faster.
It's not.
What?
It's not.
And I'm going, you actually want to do the math correctly if you need to do it. And one of his samples was like, why you need to be able to do all the math in your head is like, let's say you're building a fence and you want to calculate the ratio of the boards. And I said, wouldn't you want to hire a fence builder to do that for you?
Yeah.
He goes, well, what do you want to do for yourself and save money? And my response was, if I saved money building a fence, my wife would divorce me because I'd be pulling money on a bad fence.
Yeah, I know how to do plumbing too. Yeah, I read all about it.
Yeah. No, we had I had a
toilet.
deranged Scottish maths teacher. So she had like bright purple hair. This is like in the late 90s, bright purple hair. And she'd be, if you got something right, she was really quiet. Like, well done, you've done really well. No, sorry, when you get something wrong, she was really quiet. So, oh, no, that's wrong, that's really wrong. Get something right, she would scream at you. Like, genuinely, she'd scream at you really enthusiastically how right you were. And she just traumatized everybody in the class for a whole year. It was an experience, to put it mildly. This mad Scottish woman screaming at you for getting stuff right.
I found an old comment that is about you talk about The Alchemist. She suggests The Magus. That's by John Fowles. The only book I was tempted. I kind of like The Magus.
I've not read that. Must admit.
Have you ever read The Collector?
The Magic.
No. Like I said, I've got some weird blind spots.
Okay.
Have I read The Collector? I might have done, actually. Hang on. I need to see a cover. That's not how you spell Collector.
The Magus is another head game book. Thank you so much for answering my questions. We're just way behind on comments. I'm going to have to skip over a couple of these. Sorry, folks, for making comments. I just read Interview with the Vampire in October and really liked it.
It's your first one. Yeah.
Have you ever seen the vampire film Only Lovers Left Alive? If so, what did you think?
I don't think I have.
Never heard of it.
Hang on. Who is in? Right, hang on. I don't recognize that. Although I'm surprised I've not watched that because of some of the people in it, actually. Okay. I might have to check that one out, actually. Let's just add that to a thing.
Elaine has her copy of Dracula since the 70s.
Oh.
Sarah was the worst.
Yes.
So much fun. ACOTAR. The riddle was stupid. Everyone knew. I now have to read ACOTAR and rave about Farah. Elaine.
Nobody needs to read ACOTAR.
No one.
Unless they really want to.
Yes, that was a lame riddle. Just cringe. Yes, Elaine, we have to figure out how offended to be about character Noah picked for us.
Yeah.
But even free seems to be a bit high, maybe. I gave you all the nice characters.
You gave me Tamlin. No, you didn't. Sorry.
Yeah, I guess this is some sort of game you were doing amongst yourselves.
He did it. He hit 600 subscribers, so he did a live stream last week. And one of the questions in his chat was, who in the chat what character would the people in the chat be from ACOTAR? So he gave me, he said I was Tamlin, which I was incredibly offended at. Can't remember who Elaine got. I think Elaine got Feyre's sister off the top of my head, if I remember correctly.
I mean, you have to play them or something?
No, it was just trying to offend people, I think.
Oh, just trying to offend people.
Yeah.
That would have been 0. Kind of like how anytime I do sprints, it's more crazy chat than sprint. All chaos. Indeed.
Yep.
Hot Fuzz. I haven't. Hot Fuzz is my generation, I think. Was that a movie?
Yeah, there was a movie. Was it 2000s? It's
I
got
thought
Simon.
It was the 80s.
No, this isn't up. There might be a different one then. I think it's Simon Pegg. I think that's his name.
Okay, definitely.
Yeah, it's set in the UK, and it's basically like a really ambitious London police officer who's upsetting all the people around him by being ambitious. So they just ship him off to the backside of nowhere to like this little rural community where he can't understand what anyone's saying because they've got the really unique countryside English accents. Let's put it that way. It's a trip. It's very British.
I would like it.
People talking. He keeps saying he listens. No, I binned it. I guess you're talking about
yeah, I'm Charlie. That'll be
poor Charlie.
Yeah.
DNF'd it.
Oh no, he read it. He read all of it.
Oh, but he binned it? He threw it away?
Yep.
Oh, I see.
He won't even give it to the charity shop.
Kevin, just figured out and posted on your Discord Against the Day in December. Yes. Alan's going to hold it up, so I got
Yeah, you guys better be ready because mine's already annotated up.
There we go.
Yeah, there's all kinds of cool stuff in here.
I only listened to the audiobook when it came out, so I really don't remember a lot.
Yeah, I've got.
I remember there's a character with dynamite.
Yeah, that's like the Western part of the story. There's a Western in it. There's sci-fi in it. There's like all kinds of genres.
So Vin, how many books did you buy this week?
I have bought none because I am on a book buying ban because I'm doing the Read What You Own challenge.
That's right.
I have got ARCs that I've been given. They don't count. So, because they were free. But no, I'm not. I'm going to be very good this year. I'm not going to buy anything till March. So,
have you set yourself a book goal or just not buy anything until March?
I'm literally just. So last time around, I did 50. This time around, I'm literally just going to see how far I can get by March. Hopefully, I'll hit 50 again. Books. I'm not sure what that'll be in page count. But I think by the time I get around to March, I'll be at the point where I'll want to start picking up I'll start looking at the new releases again, because that's normally when I start looking at them. And there is a few books coming out next year that I want. So
that's cool. Yeah, I'm doing 25,000 pages.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're going for the platinum, aren't you?
I'm going for it.
I'm reading a new book. With Angelia next year, called. Oh man, go ahead. I'll find it. Shit.
Northwoods has been on my list, says Farah. Yeah, Pat says Leonard and Hungry Paul. That's the book you're reading.
Right.
Yeah, they were on the tally for book calls. We're supposed to read that in December.
I won't know what my tally is for book calls for the year. I don't want to know.
Well, the problem is, it's like when I get buying books, especially like if a used bookstore, you'll just grab a couple, say that looks fine, $1.99, just buy it. Yeah. And now I've got a whole tub in my storage room full of these paperback books that cost $1.99. I'm going like, I'm never going to get it.
Oh, see, we don't really have where we are, or at least not found one yet, any decent secondhand bookstores. It's not really. It might be a thing like down in London or some of the bigger cities, but around Manchester, that really isn't. which is probably a good thing for my bank account, to be fair.
Huh.
But there's I finally did find one in the town centre just as it was shutting because they were redeveloping it all, and it's like
Murphy's Law,
really?
man.
But
Hey,
I will find one.
The book I was thinking about is called Beauty Land. Have you heard of Beauty Land?
I've never heard of Beauty Land.
That rings a
kind of
bell.
quirky, but aliens and stuff. That's a part of it somehow, or she thinks it is, but Angelia gave me like 4 or 5 choices, and I looked at all of them and said, "What about this? What about that?" We decided on that. So I like to read new stuff once in a while.
Who's the author?
Oh, I can tell you that in a second. Marie Helena.
Yeah, I have seen this. It's on my list of books to read at some point.
Said, okay, Martyr was one, The Coast Road, Glorious Exploits, and Beautyland.
Yeah. No, Beautyland I've definitely seen. So that had flagged up for me.
Yeah,
and then Ginger's talking about imaginary numbers.
Oh, yeah.
Years, but I believe it's -1.
Oh, yeah. I just, it's something in like math and against the day, but Pynchon's known for his like physics and that. I mean, there's a scene in it where the Chums of Chance, they're on this big, and they say you can't spoil this book because it's just intertwined, but they're on this big like blimp, and at one scene it goes under the Sahara Desert, under the like a submarine, and goes all around, and he proves it through physics and all this. You'll see, it's wild. Well, you might remember it.
I remember the scene going to the under the earth, but nothing much more.
Yeah, I don't know in what context or what they're doing, because they travel around the world in it too. Starts out like in Chicago, right? The White City,
something like that.
Yeah, that's. But
Joseph Francis Burton. Are we talking about the square root of -1, which is defined as an imaginary number?
Right, there you go. Joseph, are you still? I've known him for like a few years, but I don't see him.
He comes around a bit.
Maybe I unsubscribed. I don't know. I'll have to look.
Well, no, he comes around in the chat, our live shows a bit.
Yeah, sorry if I did, Joseph. I'll check it out.
Definitely. Excuse me. She's talking about her math professor. She's asking her grads. I think she's talking to Joseph in the chat.
Yeah.
room. Dusty Book Sniffers is here or was here. It's not that long ago. That's like 5 minutes ago. I'm actually getting caught up. People say, "Hey Lee, hello."
Hey, Lee.
Lee's going to try to be joining us for Against the Day.
Excellent. Yeah, you won't be. I was going to say you won't be disappointed, but I bet you won't be.
Yeah, Joe. Yes, Mexico Tech. Small World. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Physics 2000. Oh, they're just talking to each other. Hold on. I'm not going to follow their conversation.
Yeah, I'll start it with.
Hey, Jim's books, reading and stuff. It's
Hey,
nearly
Jim
6 a.m.
Damn, there you go.
He's getting ready to go to work.
Yeah, now I saw like a documentary on. I always forget where he lives. I know it's in Georgia, but it begins with a T, like S.J. But I saw a documentary on it. It seems like a really excellent place to live. They've got a lot of amenities and history and culture and.
Tbilisi.
That'd be a place to go visit, Greg.
I want to visit the Southwest. Never been there, but maybe someday.
No, I mean where Jim lives.
You're talking about Tbilisi, Georgia?
Yeah, there it is. Yeah. Always forget the name of the city.
Right. Who knows?
Yeah, it looks really cool. Like a great place to live. I would love it there.
Well, Alan, as I said, I own a house and I have 4 cats. I just can't pack up. I can't pack up and move like it.
Yeah, so take your darts and go, let's put a map up there. Let's see today. Yeah. That'd be the life, though, huh?
Hell, well, if you didn't own property, didn't own pets, I'd say go explore the world to your heart's content.
Yeah.
Or kids. I mean, if you had kids, you can't do it either.
Yeah, I don't think my cat would be happy if I abandoned him somehow.
God, all I need is money. That's all I'm missing is money, and I'm off. I'm going to Ireland, Belize. I'd be all over.
No, I can't help you there.
Yeah. I was going to start a GoFundMe for research in Dublin. Send me over there. I need to do some research. Yeah. Like that.
Noah's headed to bed.
Oh, I don't blame you.
Nice for you to show up, Noah.
Thanks, Noah. We'll have to get you on the show next year.
Yeah, if Noah's still here, we should get you on the show sometime.
Next year in March, we're booked till end of February.
Okay.
Oh.
Also got to get Ginger Bibliophile. She's in here.
I've asked her a few times. I don't think she likes me. I don't think Kat likes me. That's why she won't do the show.
All right. People saying bye. Someone says Iceland. That's one place I want to visit too, is Iceland.
Yeah, my dad's been there. He says it's really cool. That's why they named it Greenland and Iceland. Greenland sucks, but they go green. Oh, let's go.
that was Eric the Red.
Oh, Eric the Red, huh?
He came over and he said, "Well, if I call it Greenland, people will be more tempted to move here."
Yeah. Then Brian Bookish was there too, huh?
I think so.
He vlogged it. Brian's been doing some traveling.
I'm headed to the UK in early 2026 with my daughter for a bookish adventure.
Oh, man.
Sounds like fun.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go, Alan. She likes you. I'll do it. We never set a date. We'll
I think we have you.
We'll figure out a date sometime and put you on the list.
No, we have you.
He's doing it now.
Fault. I think we have you down for like March. This is a schedule. It's all. I need to make a new schedule, when it gets down like that.
Yeah. And you got to make sure I have a copy of the schedule too.
Starts off all nice and neat. But yeah, I mean, time flies. You look back on this, crazy. I remember like these people talking to them yesterday, and it's been months. Like
last year's gone past so fast, though.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Jim says, and Newfoundland was Vinland, island of vines.
Yeah, it's I was thinking about I mentioned Pat, book chat with Pat. We were chatting today, and I didn't mention it to her, but I was thinking she had a really good year. Her channel kind of exploded, and then she went to Ireland.
It's going gangbusters right now.
Yeah, and then she went to Ireland and vlogged it and everything. Now the holidays, she's really active. It's really cool.
Yeah. Okay, we're sort of at the end of comments, which is good. So Vin,
yes.
Are there any BookTube reading events that you're looking forward to in the future?
So I don't really do many of the reading events, if I'm honest, just because I'm such a mood reader. Bizarre though it sounds, they almost push me into a slump sometimes. I know we spoke about, I don't know if it was you or if it was Alan, about Lovecraft coming up to Christmas.
Cthulhu Christmas.
Yeah, which
we're gonna do that again.
if you're doing that again, I wouldn't mind doing that because I need to read through a lot more Lovecraft.
Okay.
So that's only if you're doing it. Like
we should probably make an announcement at Cthulhu Christmas like really soon.
Yeah.
Because it's almost December.
So that's something that I'd like to do. But I think I'll probably do another read what you own challenge next year. Not read what you own challenge. That's what I'm doing now. The other one, the banned books, because I suspect the list has got a lot bigger. So from when I first made
it potentially in the US, I'm worried that list is going to explode.
Yeah, well, I saw it was months ago. I think it was linked to the Project 25 nonsense, which is the only word to describe it, and it was to do with romance in books and how all these romance books would be classed as adult literature. Let's word it like that, so it doesn't upset the algorithm going forward. And it's like, why? No, that's not what these things are. So I suspect there's going to be a hell of a lot of books in the very near future.
It could be, and these people don't know what's out there. No. Now I'm going to speak about a book that I found when I was 14 years old. So this was early 80s. It belonged to either my older brother or my father, and let's be nice to the algorithm. It was A-L Lovers. You kind of know the backside, right?
Yeah.
And I read the first chapter, and it's all about a man in a big city seeking out a prostitute. And let's just say it went in a direction that I was not expecting. It involved a tongue.
Fair enough.
In a place that most people go, ew.
Yeah.
But I survived. I mean, I never made it past chapter 1 because I'm going like, not really what I want to read about.
No.
So when these people talk about gross or offensive books, you really don't read widely, do you?
No. Well,
you don't know what's out there.
The one that got me.
They don't even read the books.
Yeah, the one that got me. It actually appeared in the news over here. Was it? It was probably Florida. It's normally Florida, but it was one of the. It was a kids' book, and it was Arthur's Birthday, I think it was called, about the cartoon character Arthur, because in the book they play Spin the Bottle. These kids just playing Spin the Bottle for basically Truth or Dare, and it's like, well, that has sexual connotations, and it's like, it doesn't. It really doesn't. What does that say about you? Not the book. It says more about the person banning it, and it's like,
shoot myself in the pants.
Yeah, it's like, why?
It flabbergasts me sometimes. Here in Virginia, they had a report of a woman. I read this late last year, I think it was, and she lives in the same county that I live in, so she uses the same library system. And her mission in life was to ban a book a week, to get them out of the library, hate it, and then report it that it needs to be banned.
I didn't know that was.
And that was her mission in life.
I didn't know that was in your. I heard you tell that story, Greg, but I thought it was like some other state or county.
No, it's right. I mean, Virginia isn't really all as bad as Florida or Texas. So I'm not sure how successful she is in getting all these books banned, but that's like her passion in life, find books that disgust her. And I'm going like, you really better pick some other hobby, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
there is no. Get her phone number, Greg, for me. Did you get her phone number? I'd like to give that chick a call. No,
might be a hot date, Alan.
Oh, it baffles me because there is no human right to not be offended by things. That's just the thing. Everyone is offended by different things. That's fine. If you don't like what's in the book, don't read it.
Well, that's what I had with the book that I found. I just did not read it.
Yeah.
You know,
and that there is always the argument of age-sensitive material and what should be in schools and what should be in public libraries. Public libraries isn't even a conversation to me. It's like it's a public library. Just make sure the books you don't want kids to read, top shelf, like used to do with magazines back when they were more of a going concern. Boy, it's baffling. Like I said, we don't have quite the same issue over here, which I'm quite thankful for. I think the last time a book was officially banned over here was in the 90s. And I think that was like a bomb making thing. So I can kind of understand. Nowadays it doesn't matter, the internet exists. But then again, you don't see how stuff gets kind of shadow banned. That's the other thing. So it's not difficult to sort of quietly blacklist something and it said not get anywhere. But it's stupid because it damages people by not giving them access to these things.
It is. I mean, and people like always complain about movies, like the R-rated movies. Now, when I was a kid, do you know how you got into an R-rated movie?
Back door.
You walked up to the ticket booth and says, "Can I buy a ticket, please?"
Yeah.
You handed your money, and they never bothered carding people.
No, they bothered us.
It just says, "Okay." I didn't look 12 years old. I mean, I guess it's technically 18 or older, but they just sold you tickets.
Yeah.
And they didn't, I mean, I don't know anyone my generation who was horribly damaged watching an R-rated movie at 15.
Dog Day Afternoon. I saw that when I was like, my dad took my brother and I must have been like 13. All the F words in that. I was even embarrassed. But we had like a 2-screen cinema walking distance when I grew up, like high school and that. But I remember sneaking into that place. I was there from 3rd grade on through high school, and we had to sneak in there. Sometimes I remember doing it, but it was fun doing
it. Kat says, "How many books are you having folks get around the book buying ban, Ven?"
I have not asked anyone to buy me any books, so I am being good. Now, if people want to buy me books, I do have the link to my Amazon wish list on my channel. But I have so many that I don't need any more books anytime soon.
I agree. I mean, I will accept, like, I accept guests too of mine, but I can't just say, "Oh, go to my wife. Oh, buy this book for me because I'm on a book buying ban." That's cheating.
Yeah.
Now, if I get a book for like a birthday or holiday, actually my birthday was before the ban, but the holiday, that's not cheating. That's just my wife saying, "You like books, and here's a book for her holiday."
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, if I read it before the ban over, I can't count the pages towards my goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's where I fell off last year because I ended up buying books before I'd finished the Read What You Want challenge. But I didn't read any of them until I'd finished my 50 books. So I still worked through the list that I already had. This time I'm being a bit more strict with it. Because
I did 25 books last year. 25. That was good for me.
Yeah. I mean, I bought so much. It's Kindle sales. 99 Kindle books. Just not good.
That one. Yeah. Oh, that one.
Yeah.
Well, the problem is
what my battery is.
I guess yours are 99p. Mine are like $1.99. It's like I just buy.
Yeah.
It's like cheaper than a soda.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to go. I've been going through making a list of all these books that I've bought over the years and saying, I really should read some of these.
Yeah. It's like the Mistborn books by Brandon Sanderson. I've had them for nearly a decade at this point. I read book 1 years ago, loved it. Can't remember a thing about it now. And it's a trilogy. And there's more books coming out. It's like I really need to get to these at some point.
Yeah, Constance saying, I worry about public libraries surviving. I kind of worry about that.
that pisses me off the most, man, about the book bans and the fake news, what they're doing to like journalism and that. That's what, out of all the things that, that's the one, probably the most I'm, just shake my head at.
Well, the thing is, if you can control what people are reading, and this you see this in like 1984 and Fahrenheit 451, it's so obvious. But if you control the flow of information, then it keeps certain people empowered on it.
Yes,
yeah, what are we, North fucking Korea or what?
Well,
crazy, man.
Yeah, some people would like it that way.
Yeah, I think they would anyway.
So dinner time says dinner time. 9 oh.
My dinner time.
She
I don't
eats
know
late.
where Cal lives. Oh yeah, she lives like
in Georgia.
Right, that's right. So they're 3 hours ahead of me.
Yeah, late dinner, I guess.
Yeah, I made a pot of chili last night that I thought was going to last me like 2 days. I ate it, the whole pot in one night. I was busy last night, but God, it was good. But
Tango Makes Three was a delightful children's book about 2 male penguins raising a penguin chick. It is high on the list of banned books. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Oh man, alive! What, do they have sex or something, or there's like penguin sex in it?
And apparently, there are actually I read it for the BookTube prize 2 years ago. There are samples of male penguins raising chicks together.
Yeah.
So it's not like it's total fiction.
No, it's definitely not. It's ridiculous.
It's, Dusty, I can't wrap my head around banning books. I mean, what does it really achieve?
Yeah, like libraries were my safe space as a kid. And that's where I got all my information from. Like before, librarian was my Google. You'd ask the librarian stuff.
Yeah.
And they had books on like famous people, like a who's who, and I would write famous writers and stuff. And I remember doing all that.
Well, the thing is, you can't. Once you've physically got the book in your hand, they can't change what's in that book until they replace it. Whereas now everything's on the internet, and it's just you don't know what answers you get and how accurate they are. There was who was it? David Mitchell, who's a comedian here in the UK. He was on a talk show. And he was saying we live in this weird world now where the truth may never be actually truly discerned anymore. Because he was talking about the new Flat Earth Society that was established in 2016, and it's like, well, how can we believe the Earth's not flat? It's like, well, because we went up space in a rocket, but they still argue with this. And it's the danger of the internet now is it's so easy to find information, whether it's accurate or not. Whereas once the book's physically in your hand, you can't change what's physically in there till they change.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Till they take it off you.
It is. And the funny thing about the flat Earth is that there was a famous flat earther. This was like 5-6 years ago, maybe longer. And he had a stunt where he's going to launch himself in a rocket.
I remember this.
To prove that the world is flat. And he killed himself in the stunt.
I find that funny.
The funny thing is that I guess his survivor says he didn't believe the world was flat. He just was making money talking about the world is flat and having people follow him. So I wonder if these people actually believe the world is flat, or they're just making a dumb show of idiocy.
I mean, if they're making money from it, then they're doing something, I suppose, from their point of view, right? But please stop.
That sounds like a good PDK plot, though, Vin, about like having a. I don't know exactly what the plot would be, but something like you said, having the book in hand and they change it online, and
yeah.
I read it on the Internet Archive. I hope it's still available for the kids who want to read it. I guess he's talking about Tango Makes Three.
Yeah.
Dusty, I have over 700 books in my Kindle, from the free ones, from the BookBub, Stuff Your Kindle Days, and Kindles.
Yeah.
Dusty, I have 2,000.
Oh my God, Greg! I didn't know you had that many.
Now, I've been at this a little bit longer. I've been at it since 2008. So I've had a number of years to actually build up a lot of books.
Yeah. Mine's been the last year because I went from, because I've never really used my Kindle much. So I had about 50 when I started the channel on there. That was it. I'd had the Kindle since like 2011. And like in the last year, it's gone up to about 330-ish. Thereabouts. And it's like, stop it. Just stop it.
It's like, the thing is, I cannot live long enough to read all my books.
Yeah.
Why am I buying more?
Well, you have to, I don't know. Would you consider unhauling, or you don't have any unhaul?
I really don't like selling books.
No.
Because you never know what book you should sell.
Right.
You can sell the book that, well, I'll never read this one. Paid $1, and then you sell it, and then you want to read it, and you go back and it's $50 on the internet, and you can't buy it again.
Yeah.
And the book you didn't sell is 50 cents on the internet.
Yeah.
And at least for me, right now, I live in a situation where I don't really have to worry about physical space. I have a lot of bookshelf space, and I have storage rooms where I can put the books, like the $1.99 cheap paperback, and just put them in tubs and stack them up, and don't have to worry about. Now, some people live in smaller houses and apartments, and they do have to worry about physical limitations, and they have to unhaul books.
Yeah, I don't unhaul, but I like them. I like having books just around me. Like,
I do too.
Time. And if I've read a book and I don't like it, then I might lend it out and not ask for it back in the future. Well, at least someone else.
Or let your heirs worry about it. That's what I say.
Yeah.
Whoever cleans out my house when I'm dead is going to have to worry about my book collection.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking more of the lines like me. I buy a lot of used books, and I had a crappy copy of Wolf Hall, and I just recently, buddy, read that, liked it. Watched some of the series and liked it, but I dropped it back off at a free library. For someone else to get. Yeah. So I do that unhauling periodically. Books that are in bad shape. And
well, that's the other thing. There's like the little free libraries, because I'd never heard of them until.
Here's the book I'll unhaul. I'm not going to read this. I tried to read it. The Blue Flower. It's like a classic book, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a brand spanking new. But
Alan, you live in an efficiency apartment. You can't hoard books like I can.
No, but I had room for a couple more bookshelves, and I could go up. I could stack one back here, going up. But
no, the little free libraries are like. But we don't.
We were talking about billiard tables last week.
So Jim was saying if they start arresting librarians, it'll be like living in Fahrenheit 451.
I mean, it's not too far away from what I've seen in some states.
In Florida, they have laws where if a librarian hands a banned book to someone underage, they can be arrested and sent to jail.
Yeah, that's America.
Constance says, I wonder if we should all pick a book or two to memorize.
Oh, man.
Alan, you want to memorize this? It's only how many long is this? 1,085 pages. You can do that.
Yeah, it's like that.
It would only take you 60 hours to recite.
It's like that woman, Christopher even started out with Ghost View, who memorized not all of it, but a chapter at a time of Paradise Lost. He was doing that once a month at a pub up here in Portland. It was really impressive. She'd go up on like a line, like she'd do it like for an hour, and only a few times she'd go up and like you'd see her eyes go up in her head, and she'd repeat it, and then she'd go right back into it because I followed along,
Mm-hmm.
But
so Joseph, I had a couple of books banned by YouTube featured on my channel. I had some book reviews removed from YouTube a few years ago for medical misinformation.
Really? Yeah, if I remember right, Joseph read a lot of classical stuff and nonfiction.
I don't know. Someone was talking about they had a book talking about mental health, and they got flagged or something because they didn't put proper warnings talking. They're going to be talking about certain medical health issues. I can't remember what they're talking about. But you have to be careful about some things with YouTube.
Yeah.
No penguin sex. Just two males lovingly raising a chick based on a true story. Dusty. Yeah, I was the same library was my hangout in the 80s. I learned so much from my library and librarian. None of it, this is sorting through my mountains of misinformation on the internet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Libro, if those concerned parents have given their kids an iPhone, tablet, or home computer with the internet, they shouldn't be worried about. You can find anything depicted on the internet in full color action
within seconds.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is say, "I'm not 18." Click the box.
Yeah. Want to hear it? Here it goes. See how fast.
Yeah, and the thing is, there is ways that you can, as a parent, control that.
Yeah.
But it's not as straightforward as a load of other stuff. And it's a conversation at the end. If any of my kids want to read a certain book, we'll have a conversation about it. And that's what it should be, not a straight off. If someone says no to me, no, you can't have this thing, it makes me want that thing more. So it's actually self-defeating because I'll find a way of getting it. But it's said there's so much, because everything is so plugged in now, book bans are just so self-defeating.
I have a question then, though. Because I'm thinking I was going to ask, Greg, like, can you imagine growing up these days and your parents have you blocked from like the Pornhub or whatever, and you got to get your other friend who, I got the unblocked phone, man.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Can you imagine?
Yeah. So well, I have. So obviously, my eldest is 20, so he doesn't count anymore. But my youngest doesn't have a phone. My youngest is 10. He does not have a phone. He won't get one till he goes to high school. That's sort of the rule that me and the ex-wife have agreed. So my middle one's 15, and I have parental control because she's not tech savvy. So I have the parental control. So anything she installs on her phone, any searches she does, I can see it. And it becomes a conversation. But there's also age filters built into it. So the tools are out there, but internet companies tend not to talk about them because it's bad for business, if you're going to be cynical about it. I mean, there's always ways around this stuff. It's going to be ways around it. But bizarrely, and it seems like a weird thing to say, but the current generation are not really as tech savvy, which sounds like a weird thing to say because they use technology constantly, but they understand how to use it, but they don't understand how it works behind the scenes. So they can't find the workarounds as well. And they don't really teach that in school, but at least over here, they don't really teach it very well in school. So whenever any of my kids have any issues with tech, none of them can figure it out. They've not been taught it. And I'm stood there going, well, you just do this, this, and this. Because they've got that used to the app mentality of press a button and it works. Because they've never had to figure out how it works for them when it breaks.
Yeah,
which is I actually saw a teacher talking about this quite recently, talking about teaching IT to current students. And they're actually saying it's really interesting to watch because they've got used to the instant gratification of the button press. So they don't need to know how it works. They just know that it does. Which is going to be a problem in the future, potentially. Realistically, if we don't teach people how things work, when it stops working, no one's going to fix it.
You're going to call. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
So,
I mean, I said I was a computer programmer, self-taught, but I knew a little bit of the hardware as well, just because I worked in an IT department. I sometimes had to fill in, and the lack of knowledge of how to fix things when they're not working is staggering.
yeah.
Oh.
I mean, just for an example, I live in a 55 plus community, and one of my neighbors called me and he says, "Internet's down." I said, "Okay." We had like we had like a 10-minute power outage, early in the day. I said, "Reboot your router.
Yeah.
Tell me if it works." He called back, "No, it didn't work." So I went over. I kind of trusted him that he reboot his router.
Yeah.
He hadn't done it. And then I said, "Okay, let's reboot your router." And
yeah,
you know where I'm going with this one, right?
Yeah. Yep. The old turn it off and on again fixes nearly everything. It's like I've had this conversation because we've had at work an IT issue the last couple of days, and everyone stood there going, "Why do you do this?" Like, it's fine. It'll fix itself. Just do this for now. It's like, well, how do we do that? It's like, what do you mean? How? You've been here as long as me. I don't understand, but it baffles me. It really does. The most technical generation's becoming the least tech savvy. It's scary.
It is scary. Have you read the Time Machine, Vin?
Yes, a long time ago. But yeah.
But now I'm kind of thinking we're going to have these elite people who are just catered to.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to fix things.
No.
No, I'm no good mechanically. Like if you give me a car engine, I'm lost.
Well, everyone is anymore. It's all computerized. Yeah.
Well, yeah. One of my friends is a mechanic, and he says now you're not really a mechanic anymore. You're a fitter because you just replace the part. You just reprogram and take one bit. You don't fix anything. You just replace it.
Oh.
With a lot of
isn't that what you always did when you had an engine problem, or there were the cases where you actually fixed an engine?
You're talking about like components and that. Back in the day, you just get an alternate or fix your carburetor, put in a new hose or.
Yeah. Sometimes just wiggle it a bit just so it sits back in its housing properly.
Right.
Things become loose. They just sometimes need time.
Oh, yeah. I mean, a coat hanging around my muffler. Tell me about it.
A bit of baling string holding the exhaust on. It's fine. But it's like those days are gone, I think, unfortunately.
Here's Jim. It used to be tell a lie or tell the truth. We will need to change that to telling a truth as people believe completely different realities.
Yeah.
Ingrid, I've unhauled books that I later want again. I hate that.
Yeah.
Dusty, I'm doing the read what you own 100 physical books, 25 each of the following, I guess: Audible, Kindle, KU, Net Gallery. So a total of 200 in a year. Okay.
Nice.
Dusty, I unhaul to my daughter, and she cashes them into a book exchange for credit to get books that we want.
I love that.
Cobalt, great show. Have a great night. Goodbye, Elaine.
Elaine.
Greg, I have a question. Knowing the types of books you like, have you read any Tom Holland's fiction? The Sleeper in the Sands. No, I have not read anything by Tom Holland. England, there's always room for more. LOL, I have 12-foot ceilings, so I can go up the walls. Get a ladder.
Yeah, mine aren't quite that tall. I think mine are 10 feet. But I have tall ceilings. I need more bookcases. I'll be buying bookcases before I buy books, I think.
Moving countries, I haven't held on to. Oh, Jim, moving countries, I haven't held on to many books from the past. I've also swapped a lot of books I wish I'd held on to. Yeah, but when you're moving countries, that's kind of a different situation. YouTube is a private company, so I get it, but public libraries, hands off the libraries. I get you. I think our country is going to be in for a rude surprise in the next few years.
Well, what I don't get, right? So any book that gets into a school library, as I understand it, has got to pass a vetting process, which involves the librarians that are there. So surely, if you're paying someone or a group or an organization to make these decisions in the first place, and then you're just going to reverse it afterwards, what is the point of that process?
Because the librarians have the wrong attitude on the world.
Well,
that's what they say.
Well,
I mean, I see me. If you've gone to school to be a librarian and to judge what is appropriate for a library, that's your job.
Yeah.
Me, I don't tell mechanics how to fix my car because I don't know. If I were working and someone say, please import this file to this computer, I know how to do that. That's my expertise. You don't have someone telling me, well, I want you to do this when you're importing a file, and I'm like, wouldn't work that way. No. They don't know, but maybe they really want to do it. We all know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It'd be great to be a librarian, you know.
Actually, Alan, I think I would absolutely hate being a librarian in this.
Well, now I would, because all the homeless people, and I understand they need places.
I'm not even talking about the homeless people. I'm just talking about all this, like, oh, you can't give this book to that person. That person may not be 18.
Yeah.
But I mean, other than that.
Oh, no, Alan, when I was growing up in the 80s, it would have been a great job.
Yeah, you need a master's in that. I had a friend who became a librarian back in Ohio.
Yeah. There was something called library science college degree.
Yeah.
There still is over, certainly in Europe anyway. I know one of my friends up in Norway, she's a librarian up in Oslo.
Oh.
And she's very proud of the library science and everything that she's done.
Right. You can't just walk in and say, I want to be a librarian, you know?
Yeah. And it's a point of pride. So there's librarians and then there's librarians. It's how she words it.
Yeah.
And very, very, not dogmatic, that's the wrong word, but very, very protective of the idea of liberty and the library, which is how it should be.
Yeah.
Well, I would guess you have your head librarians, and then you have your like you said, what's the underling librarian?
Like assistants. I volunteered at library up here a number of times.
Yeah.
Like doing holds on computer, check out the holds, print out a label, put the you know, and then put it on a thing. Somebody else would shelf it. Well, no, actually, I would sometimes too. Anyway.
So here's Lee. I've finished 39 books towards my 100 final. That's great.
Wow,
Lee.
that's amazing.
That is really good.
Huh.
My kids are readers. One of my daughters is reading at a college level at 12 years old. Yeah. So I had to have conversations about books and content, open dialogue. I'd be the better way to go.
Yeah. That's what it should be. It should always be a conversation, shouldn't it?
Yeah. My daughter the other day rang, freaking me out because her data wasn't working and she just had to put some point of tuning off and on. Oh, you're talking about like the daughter not knowing how to use the phone. Yes, Ingrid, hands off libraries and nonprofits. They are taking another fun at those. Oh, Constance, don't. Well, then.
Oh, another run.
They have this new law that they're trying to pass where they're saying that if you are a terrorist sponsoring group, you can't be a nonprofit. All right. But it's so loosely worded that, let's say you are a nonprofit that helps college students demonstrate, and you show a demonstration that supports Gaza, and Gaza is terrorists. You are now a terrorist organization. And literally any nonprofit could be labeled a terrorist organization.
Well, they're gonna,
and one person could do it. Trump's nomination could just say you are a terrorist organization.
Right.
No nonprofit status for you.
Yeah.
That is just beyond frightening.
Well, you know, all the NEA grants and that are going to be kaput. No NEA grants anymore, and that.
NEA, the terrorist organization.
Yeah, probably.
If you ever granted a Palestinian money, you are a terrorist organization.
Yeah, there you go.
My husband is an old school mechanic. He says the same thing. People these days don't know how to listen to a car and know what's wrong. Ingrid, my husband is an appliance repairman, and he hates that appliances, washers, dryers have brains now. Ridiculous and expensive. Who needs to have a refrigerator to have a brain? You know, Ingrid, we bought our house. We bought the top of the line refrigerator. It was about $3,000. And that refrigerator is probably going to last 5 or 6 years. Because the builder could not fulfill that when we bought the house. They had to give us a loaner refrigerator. It has no brain, has nothing, and that refrigerator is going to be here in 40 years still working. And it was like a tenth of, like, it was probably like $600 compared to $3,000.
But it doesn't make ice out of the thing, and it doesn't beep. I've got a trick. It doesn't talk to me, but it beeps if I leave the door open. I got to get back out of bed and close it because I'm eating ice cream. Making all this up.
Yeah, Constance. Librarians teach us how to access real information. That's the danger. Who here remembers card catalogs?
Oh, yeah. Please.
And do you remember card catalogs of the library?
Dewey Decimal System.
Where you had to flip through cards and find your book?
Yeah, we had. I remember those from when I was at school.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have the Dewey Decimal System?
Yeah. Famous librarians, Casanova, Chairman Mao. Would you let them hand out books to your kids?
I mean, potentially, yes, if I knew what the book was. That's the catch.
Casanova, probably not. Chairman Mao, maybe. All right. Some of the religious nuts who want to ban books, maybe they should remove the Bible from libraries. It has a lot of questions. Well, Jim, that actually happened. I forgot what state it was in, but they had this law saying if a book had sex in it, a parent could object to it and have it banned.
Didn't dictionary get banned in somewhere because it had the word sex in it?
It did.
It's just
idiocy.
It is. It's just going to be a nightmare for a couple of years. It's just going to be.
Yeah.
Whoopi Goldberg said she's just going to get popcorn and sit back and try to watch the show. I don't know. What else can you do?
Yeah. ACLU, Planned Parenthood, call your federal House representatives.
Okay. Asked and answered. Hey,
Courtney, hello, Courtney. You're right at the end of the show, Courtney.
Yeah.
Hello.
My computer's about to run out of battery.
We're here. We're at an hour and 45 minutes, and my voice is gone. So
yeah, we're at 1:45 then.
Yep. I remember card catalogs. Love them.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my God. Blast.
Give me 1 second. I'll show you.
Okay, then. Well, I think it's about time to call it a night.
Give me 1 second, Greg.
What? I
have an example of a card catalog.
Yeah. That's not a card. This is that's the library card.
Oh, you're right. You're talking about. Well, still, this is fucking old.
It is. No, that's truly old.
But you're right. I mean, you're talking about Dewey. Well, it has a Dewey Decimal System on it.
Yeah, it does.
Those old. I just think of the from the original Ghostbusters movie with the ghost at the beginning in the library with the drawers with all the catalog cards and everything. They'll never know. The kids today will never know that pain.
Okay, Vin. Any last words for the group?
Only thank you for having me on, first of all. I really appreciate it. And thank you everyone for joining as well. I was actually a little bit nervous coming on, if I'm honest. Yeah, I get nervous talking to people sometimes.
This is just like sitting down at a pub, having a beer.
Yeah, I don't go to pubs.
well, it could be a coffee house or something. You get the idea.
But no, it's been an absolute blast coming on. I really appreciate you inviting me and everyone who's joined as well in the chat.
Indeed.
It's been awesome.
Yeah,
all right.
Well,
Ben, thanks so much for showing up and joining us.
Yes,
thanks to everyone in the chat room. It's great to see old familiar names and some new ones. So everyone, have a great night or afternoon.
See you later. Good night.